All right, I want y'all to lean in and hear this loud and clear, because what I'm about to tell you ain't nobody breaking it down like this. We always hear about what women want. You can find books, blogs, podcasts, all talking about what women need after intimacy. But let's talk about the brothers for a second, because see, men, we got needs too. And right after that moment when two people are at their closest, a man don't just roll over and forget you're there. No, ma'am, there are things stirring in his heart and mind, and most women never even see it. Now I know somebody's thinking, oh, he just wants to sleep. Nah, sweetheart, it's deeper than that. See, right after intimacy, that's when a man is at his most real. He's stripped down not just his clothes, I'm talking about his soul, and in that moment there are 7 things he's craving, 7 things he hopes you see, feel, and understand even if you don't have the words to say it. If you don't know these 7 things, let me tell you what's gonna happen. You're gonna miss a chance to connect with that man on a level so deep, so real, he won't even know why he can't stop thinking about you. And if you do know them, oh, you're about to unlock a bond that no other woman could compete with. So before you scroll, before you click away, listen up. Because I promise you, by the end of this speech, you're gonna look at your man different. You're gonna understand why he acts the way he does, and you're gonna know how to give him what he needs, right when it matters most. You want to know what a man craves, right in that moment when the world is quiet, and it's just the two of you with nothing left between you but truth. It's affirmation, I mean real affirmation, the kind that don't need a speech, the kind that don't need fancy words, just something simple that hits a man right in the soul. Because see, when a man gives himself to a woman, when he shows up fully, when he lets down all the walls he's been taught to build since he was a boy, he's hoping for one thing deep down. He wants to know that he was enough, that he was seen, that all that strength he brought, all that passion, all that tenderness it landed, it mattered. It wasn't wasted. And let me tell you something, most men won't say this out loud, because we're not raised to say it. We're raised to act like we don't need anything, raised to act like we're bulletproof. But inside, after that moment of closeness, that's when we're actually at our most fragile. And what we're hoping for, what we're craving in a way we don't even fully understand ourselves, is a sign from you that says, I see you, I respect you, I'm glad it was you, not just any man, you. It could be the way you look at him afterward, like he's still your hero even with the sweat and the breathlessness and the rawness of the moment. It could be the way your hand finds his, or the way your head rests on his shoulder like it belongs there. It could be a word or no words at all, just a sound, just a sigh that tells him he did right by you. Because what eats at a man, what keeps him up at night, what makes him wonder if he's enough for you is silence. That kind of silence that feels empty, that kind of silence that makes him feel like he missed the mark. And here's what I need you to understand, this ain't about ego. This is about a man's deepest desire to feel valued by the woman he just gave himself to. A man wants to feel like he measured up, like he made you feel special, like he left you satisfied not just in body but in spirit. And when you affirm him, when you let him know he's that man for you, you unlock something in him. You make him want to protect you more, provide for you more, show up for you in ways that even surprise himself. But when that affirmation is missing, when he feels like you're indifferent, like maybe it didn't mean that much to you, that's when distance creeps in. That's when doubt starts whispering in his ear. That's when he starts pulling back, not because he wants to, but because he's trying to protect his own heart. and you don't even know it's happening. You're wondering why he's quieter, why he's not as warm, why he's distracted. It's because that moment that could have been a bond became a question mark instead. So I'm telling you now, if you want to speak to the heart of a man right after intimacy, you don't have to write a poem or make a speech. Just let him know you see him. Let him know that what he gave, what he shared, it mattered. And when you do that, you won't just have his body, you'll have his loyalty, his respect, his best. Because nothing makes a man rise higher than a woman who knows how to affirm him when he's at his most real. Let's talk about something that a lot of people misunderstand about men right after intimacy. That moment when it's all done, when the fire has settled and the world feels still, and he leans back, maybe closes his eyes, maybe turns on his side, maybe even says nothing at all. A lot of women see that and think, is he pulling away? Is he losing interest? Did I do something wrong? But let me break it down for you. What looks like a man asking for space isn't distance at all. It's him processing connection. That's right. Because see, intimacy is not just physical for a man. I know the world tells you men are all about the physical, that it's just about the act, that when it's over he's done, but no, that moment after, that's when he's at his most human. That's when the weight of everything he just shared with you is settling in. And sometimes the way he handles that isn't with words or even with more touch, it's with stillness. That space he takes, that deep breath he draws, that quiet, it's him soaking in what just happened. It's him sitting with the fact that he let down his walls, that he let himself be close, that for a few moments there wasn't the outside world, there wasn't work, there wasn't stress, it was just you and him. That space isn't rejection. That space is sacred. And the women who understand that, the women who can sit in that silence without feeling insecure, without needing to fill it with chatter, without needing to demand answers or reassurances, those women are the ones who give a man peace like he's never known before. Because here's what happens when you misread that space. You start asking, what are you thinking? Or do you still want me? Or are you okay? And I'm not saying those questions come from a bad place. They come from wanting to be close, from wanting to connect. But in that moment, they can feel like pressure to a man who's already given all he can give in that moment. It makes him feel like he's being tested, like he's got to prove something, when all he's trying to do is breathe and be and feel. And when you respect that space, when you let that quiet be what it is, without trying to control it or fill it or change it, you show him that you get him in a way that very few people ever will. See, a man's heart is wired to protect itself. From the time he's young, he's taught not to cry too much, not to feel too deeply, not to let the world see him soft. But after intimacy, all that armor drops. And in that quiet, he's vulnerable in a way he probably won't be anywhere else. That space isn't about pulling away, it's about him trying to gather himself. It's about him trying to stay connected without being overwhelmed. And if you can give him that, if you can sit with him in that stillness, just be present, no demands, no questions, no doubts, you will give him something most men crave their whole lives, the gift of being fully accepted as he is in that raw, unguarded moment. What looks like distance is really a bridge, if you let it be. What looks like space is actually the pathway to deeper connection, to the kind of bond that makes a man not just want to come back to you physically, but emotionally, spiritually, fully. Because once he knows he can trust you in that space, he will bring more of himself to you than you ever thought possible. Let me tell you something most folks never tell you about men because they either don't know it or they don't want to say it out loud. Right after intimacy, after that deep connection, that passion, that fire, sometimes what a man wants more than anything else in the world is not more talking, not a bunch of questions, not even sweet words. What he's craving is respectful silence, a peaceful, quiet presence. That's it. And I know right now somebody's thinking, why silence? Why wouldn't he want to talk to me? Why wouldn't he want to keep connecting? But hear me on this, it's not because he doesn't care. It's because that peaceful moment is how a man soaks it all in. That silence is sacred to him. It's like breathing room for his spirit. And the woman who understands that silence, who doesn't get nervous in it, who doesn't feel the need to fill it, that's the woman who gives him peace. See, after intimacy, a man is at his softest. That's the truth. All that armor we wear, all that toughness the world expects of us in that moment, it's gone. We're real, we're raw, we're open. And with all that openness comes a flood of feelings, thoughts, reflections, some we don't even have words for. And sometimes the best thing a woman can do is just be there. Just let that stillness happen. Just let the room stay quiet without filling it with questions like, what are you thinking right now? Or are you happy? Or do you still love me? Because what happens when you ask those things is, you take that man out of his peace and throw him into performance mode. Now he's gotta answer right. Now he's gotta say something that pleases you when really he just wanted a minute to breathe, to feel the afterglow, to hold on to that closeness without having to explain it. A lot of women, they mistake that silence for distance. They think, oh no, he's shutting me out, he's pulling away, he's already done with me. But that couldn't be further from the truth. That silence, that's when he's closest to you. That's when he's trusting you the most to sit there with him, to let him be himself, without needing to entertain you or reassure you or convince you of anything. A man's silence after intimacy isn't cold. It's not rejection, it's peace. And the woman who can respect that, who can sit with him in that quiet without fear, without insecurity, without needing him to fill the air with words, she becomes his safe place. She becomes the one person in this whole noisy world where he can rest his soul. Because life is loud, work is loud, the world is loud. A man spends all day having to prove himself, explain himself, defend himself. But in that moment right after intimacy, what he's hoping for, what he's craving is just peace. Just your presence, just the kind of quiet that says, we're good, I'm here, you're here, no words needed. And when you can give him that, when you can sit with him in that respectful silence, you'll see him open up in ways you never imagined, not because you demanded it, but because you gave him the one thing most men never get, the gift of being understood without saying a word. Let's get real about something that most people miss when they're trying to understand what a man wants right after intimacy. Everybody talks about the act itself, what happens in the heat of the moment, all that passion, all that energy. But not enough folks talk about what happens after. And let me tell you, after it's all said and done, what a man craves, what sticks in his mind and in his heart, is physical comfort beyond the act. I'm talking about the little things, the touch that lingers, the closeness that stays, the small gesture that tells him without a single word that the connection wasn't just physical, it was real. It meant something, it's still there, because see, in that moment after intimacy, a man is in this rare, honest space. His walls are down, his pride is off to the side, he's not trying to impress nobody. He's not out to prove anything. He's just there, present, raw, human, and in that space, something as simple as a hand on his chest, or the way your leg brushes against his, or how you curl into him like you belong there, that speaks louder than anything you could ever say. That tells him he's safe. That tells him he's accepted. That tells him he's enough. And let me tell you something else. A man remembers that. He remembers how you made him feel after, because after is when the truth shows up. There's this idea floating around that men don't need that closeness after, that we just roll over, go to sleep, move on, and sure, some brothers might act like that, because that's what the world taught them to do. But deep down, a man wants that connection to last longer than the moment. He wants to feel that he's not just good for the passion, but for the peace that follows, and nothing delivers that like physical comfort. It don't have to be big, grand gestures. It's not about clinging or smothering. It's about presence. It's about that silent message your touch sends: I'm still with you. And here's the thing, when you give him that, you feed something in him that's starving in most men. The need to be cared for, the need to be held without conditions, the need to be close without having to ask for it, without having to admit it. Because the truth is, most men aren't going to say, "Baby, hold me. Baby, stay close." We don't say it because we're taught not to. We're taught to be strong, to be providers, to be protectors, but in that quiet moment after intimacy, what we want is to be cared for. And when that care shows up in your touch, in your closeness, in the way you stay near without needing anything in return, that's when you build a bond that's stronger than any words, stronger than any promises. That's when you become the place he wants to come back to, not just for passion, but for peace. And let me tell you, the men that act like they don't need it, they need it the most. The ones that act like they're good without it, they're the ones whose hearts are hoping for it. Because it's in those little gestures, those small touches, that a man finds rest. That's when he knows he's more than what he can do for you. He's valued for who he is. And once a man feels that, once he knows you see him that way, you won't have to chase him. You won't have to wonder where his loyalty is. He'll be right there, because you gave him the kind of comfort the world won't. There's something about a man that most people don't see, sometimes not even the woman he loves. After intimacy, after that moment where he's given himself to you in the most complete way a man can, there's a quiet need in him that he probably won't ever say out loud. A need for emotional security, a need to feel like in that moment, right there with you, he is safe, not just physically, not just because you're lying next to him, but because he can finally, just for a little while, drop the weight of the world and just be. A man wants to feel like he can be vulnerable with you and still be seen as a man. That he can breathe easy, that he can let go, that he can stop trying to be strong, and you won't use it against him. You won't see him as weak. You won't throw it back in his face when times get hard. See, we live in a world that teaches a man to always wear armor. From the time he's young, he hears it: be tough, don't cry, man up. Every time he falls, he's told to shake it off. Every time he hurts, he's told to hide it. And so he builds these walls, thick, heavy walls, and the only time those walls come down, the only time he lets you see the man behind the strength, behind the provider, behind the protector, is in those intimate moments when it's just you and him, and everything else fades away. And in that moment, what he wants, what he needs, is to feel like when he's vulnerable with you, he's safe. Because let me tell you something, vulnerability ain't easy for a man. It costs him. Every time he opens up, every time he lets somebody see his soft side, it feels risky. Because he's been taught that if he lets that side show, somebody's gonna take advantage, somebody's gonna see him as less than, somebody's gonna use it to hurt him later. So when he lets down that guard with you, when he lets you see him in that raw, honest moment after intimacy, it's because he trusts you, or at least he hopes he can. And what he's craving more than anything right then is to know that his trust wasn't misplaced, that you're not gonna judge him for being human, that you're not gonna see his softness as weakness, that you're not gonna make him regret letting you in. And here's the part that's powerful when a man feels emotionally secure with you in that moment. You unlock the best parts of him. When he knows he can be real with you without fear, that's when you get the kind of loyalty, the kind of love, the kind of commitment that can't be shaken, because now he's not just with you for the passion. Now he's with you because you gave him a rare gift, the gift of peace, the gift of knowing he doesn't have to be on guard all the time, the gift of being able to just be himself, fully, completely, without shame, without fear. And I promise you, when a man finds that with a woman, he don't forget it. He don't walk away from that. He don't take that lightly, because that kind of emotional security, that's rarer than anything money can buy, rarer than anything the world offers. That's the kind of thing that makes a man stay, makes a man show up, makes a man give you the best of himself without holding back.